So welcome to my session. The slides are made by me and ChatGPT. You know, DALL-E is the picture is from DALL-E. And we will talk about ChatGPT or large language models in general, used for SQL Server, mainly database, old school SQL Server, you know, like database administration, performance tuning and things like that on mostly on-prem SQL Server. I will have some fun just because I'm using it and I like it. And when I discovered what it can do, I'm saying, oh, it's saving a lot of time in my work. So, thanks for to the sponsors. That helps this great event to take place. And so this is me. You hear by my accent that I'm not an English native speaker. I don't know Polish. I'm sorry. I'm not French actually. That's the weirdest stuff. I'm Swiss, but I came to France to live in France almost 20 years ago. So if you know the economics between France and Swiss, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm using ChatGPT also. I'm weird. You have my email. You have my website, but it's in French. But if you have questions later, you can still send me an email. And the agenda is very simple. It's very simple. Yeah. Just talking a little bit about large language models. If you know them, everybody knows them, but just to recap a little bit. And talking about DBA challenges or what we have to do every day as a DBA and how it can help. So just to make sure, I've created some polls, and I've seen like I've asked the question: have you ever used ChatGPT to help you with SQL Server? There were 24 answers, and like 28, and it's like 17 yes and 11 no. So it's great. You are the polls. You are the persons who did the polls. So just to ask you here, who works every day or works with SQL Server? Probably most of you, thank you. And who used ChatGPT or any kind of artificial intelligence? Okay, not so much, yeah, great. And who is considering herself or himself like knowing well SQL Server? Okay. Perfect. So I will talk about some DBA responsibilities, things we do, but I will explain them or like for it to make sense. And stop me if something is not clear enough. The tool we will use is just SQL Server Management Studio, Azure Data Studio, because it has a copilot. You can use Azure Data Studio with GitHub Copilot, and it's kind of fun. And I'm not using ChatGPT. I lied to you. I was a paying customer. I changed to po.com, which helps me to use different models. I will show you. But there are now a couple of tools anyway. We choose what we want, but you will see that some are more able to answer questions than others. I'm using Perplexity as well because it's. I will explain why. Because it's called RAG. It's a research augmented generation, and we'll show you some of my GitHub. Some of my GitHub queries, but just one or two. So that's the tool we will use, but mostly Po and Azure Data Studio, Management Studio. So about LLM, large language models. Just to make sure that we are on the same page, like large language models, they are generating content. And based on trained data. So when we ask questions, of course, to ChatGPT or other chatbots like that, of course, they have their knowledge. Their knowledge is fixed at a certain point in time, which doesn't make a problem for SQL Server because maybe we don't have the answers for SQL Server 2022 at some points, but for general administrative questions, that's fine. They answer general questions. They answer questions about everything they know, but they don't know anything. I'm going back to that in a minute. They keep the context, and there is a certain length of context. You know that probably. So if I'm asking something, it remembers what I'm asking, and I can ask follow-up questions. Okay, you probably know that. I'll show you. And now they are multimodal, so we can feed them with pictures, and that's great for SQL Server or any kind of question, technical question, as long as it can read the picture and understand the content. I will show you. They can generate code because they are trained on codes. You know that as well, I guess. And one of the great things they can do is make text to SQL, meaning the language, meaning the query. Because I'm teaching SQL, the language, to non-computing person, and I know how challenging it is to take the question you have and put it in a SQL query, and they can definitely help for that. And they can generate model, and they can do everything. By the way, we have to do no. Okay. So I ask another question. Do you think that LLM will change the DBA job? That was a stupid question because the answer is yes, of course. And so I asked, my response was, it will replace DBA. Nobody answered that. Okay, that was a stupid answer. DBA should not use ChatGPT, 3 persons. Okay, I will understand why. It will help their productivity. Most of people answered that, yeah. And I just said some small companies could use ChatGPT instead of a DBA, and nobody answered that. I would wonder, I'm a freelance consultant, and I'm working with small companies, and sometimes, okay, yeah, sometimes they could, but of course, if they don't understand the response, the answer, it's not that easy, but I think it can replace a lot of things we have to do and help people understand how it works, because the answers for SQL Server, for instance, are quite good sometimes. Okay, we'll talk about that. But just to come back to LLM notions, of course they are trained with a huge amount of data, you know that. They take into account the context of the questions, and we'll come back to that, but they also have, for now, a huge problem, if you know that they have to feed again the context each time they generate a single word, I would say. Like when it answers, I'll show you something quickly. If I'm using PO, so why I'm using PO is because I can choose my language model. Okay, I'm asking a couple of questions. I'm using a paying version of PO. And if you just slow me, the question is already done somewhere. So sorry, I'm typing anyway. For instance, I could say what makes SQL Server a great DBMS. And if you look at the response, if there is one, okay. Okay, I will change it because this one is an assistant. It's not GPT. I will try with GPT. Because it's really customary when you use GPT. So you know, with PO, I can choose with a at what kind of GPT I can try Turbo, and I paste the question, and it goes to this model. Okay, it doesn't exist, so I'm trying GPT-4. Okay, this is one, the paying one. Question mark. Yeah, you see, you ask the question and you see clearly that it starts the response using the question. It generates words after words after words after words, and it's generated without no knowledge of the reality of the subject of anything. It just takes a word. So if I'm asking what makes SQL Server a great DBMS, it will say SQL Server is a great DBMS because, and then it searches what is closer statistically to because after this whole piece of sentence, and say because something, and what is the most probable word after that. And after that, it feeds the model again with everything, and it generates the next word, basically something like that, which makes very heavy computing operations. For now, they will improve it. So just to say that. Okay, I was writing embeddings. We could also feed the model with pre-computed data if we need. That's called embedding, but it's not very important for now. We could also fine-tune it, meaning the model was trained with a large amount of data, but we can add some training and make it processing the training for it to have more knowledge. And we could think, yeah, to improve that for SQL Server or other things, we can fine-tune it, but we don't really need it because if we have a context window good enough, we can feed immediately all we need into the chatbot, and it will get live the information we need. And fine-tuning is not necessary. I was thinking about it, but I'm very happy with what I can do without fine-tuning the model. Another thing, it can hallucinate, meaning false responses. I will show you. But hallucination is part of the model. I mean, it's a natural, it's a problem, but it makes sense because you know that it doesn't know anything about the reality, right? It just generates statistical answers. So it doesn't know anything. Okay. How could we use, I will show you that. How could we use LLMs? Of course, chatbot, ChatGPT. We have special chatbots which are RAG, or we can use tools which are called RAG. It's real retrieval augmented generation. It has the trained data, but when I'm asking a question, it goes to the web, making a web search, grabbing the answer, and having more information to answer. And that's great because it solves, to me, most of the problems we have with hallucination. We'll show you as well. We can script using Python with LangChain, for instance, some libraries that will ask questions, keep the context, send the context again, and maybe we can automatize some tools with that. We have copilots, like GitHub Copilot, that we can use in our code, and it will, instead of answering a question, it will complete the task, for example, SQL code. And we have some low code or no code stuff that can make a workflow saying I'm searching for documents and I'm sending it to the LLM and it gives me a response in JSON, for instance, and I'm using this response to do something. And that's the close future because I think GPT, OpenAI will go like that. It's called agents, AI agents that can do things and we plug them and they replace our job. No. Okay. Sorry. So the limitations, I've talked about that. They hallucinate content. They don't know anything. Most of the time, they can't do math. They are trained for language. They cannot take very difficult math problems. And also, you send information to them. So if I'm like this, and I'm sending here my database schema, for instance, to analyze, it will be sent to a server. It will be out of the company. So there are confidentiality problems, of course. But if you have a great GPU, you can download an open source LLM on your machine and make it work locally. You need a beefy machine, and it solves basically the problem. Or you can have this kind of GPT for enterprise account that they guarantee that the data is kept secret or something like that. Okay. So we will use chatbot just to the demo. And I like Po because I can compare the results. If I'm not happy, I'm saying it doesn't understand my question, I'm trying another. And there are a couple of models here. If you choose, if I'm using, oh, sorry, some part is in French. Oh, sorry. I can list all the models, and they are GPT, they are Gemini for Google, Mistral, it's a French company, and Claude. So Claude wasn't available from Anthropic, wasn't available in Europe, at least in France, but I received a mail this morning that Claude is in Europe. So with that, you can just pick the LLM. Some are open source. Mistral is open source, so you could download it and use it locally if you have the right tool. Okay. So, and consider RAG, meaning if you have some questions and you suspect, I will show you, you suspect some hallucination, RAG is much better for that, to get real information. I said also prepare prompting. You know the prompt engineering stuff. You should do the prompt like this and like this. And there are tools like Expanso. You just program some macros and it types the question, part of the question, replace it with a. It's an open source tool that can just save you some typing on your computer. And consider token limits. I will show you why, because if I need to feed something to ChatGPT, like an error log, for example, from SQL Server, it's big, and the context might not be, the context window might not be big enough. I will show you that as well. And in prompt engineering, so you have this concept, like you have even what we call a framework, the core stuff, for instance, like you give it a context, you give it a role, you give it an objective, you give it, you might provide a response style, so you try to organize your question for it to understand everything. And I added here, allow the LLM to be wrong, and it's great for preventing hallucination. So I'm giving you an example. I'm giving you an example here. I have a question. I'm asking the question to GPT-4, for instance. Yeah. And the question is, sorry. You don't see it because I need to. Okay, yeah. Okay, maybe you didn't see Po before because I was presenting, sorry. I didn't realize because I didn't see. But this is Po, and I'm asking to GPT-4, I'm asking what makes, no, it's not this question I wanted to ask, that was the previous one. No, okay, just 1 minute to copy paste this, okay. So the question would be, how to get the time to leave TTL on a data page in the buffer pool using a DMV in SQL Server. This is a mouthful. But if you know a little bit SQL Server, there is something that doesn't make sense. Okay, we have the buffer pool, it's the cache in memory. We know that the pages of data stay in the cache, but we know that ultimately after some time, if they are not used, they are removed from the cache. And there is a counter in each page that basically tells whether it was used or not, or whether it can be removed from the cache. But it's not called a time to leave. It's not called a TTL, and we don't have this information in any DMV, which would be a dynamic management view, which would be views on the system. We don't know. We have some hidden ways to do it, like going to the page, looking inside the page, and it's not called a TTL. But I'm asking the question to the model saying, I'm sure it exists, how do we do that? It implies that it's doable. And okay. So it says, yeah, of course, no problem. You are looking to understand the type to leave, the duration. Yeah. And it's saying, okay, it has this. Yeah. Ah, not bad. I've tried that sometimes. Okay, not bad. So each time you try this, it will give you another answer. I've got 3 or 4 answers preparing this stuff. So I'm trying again. That's the first more or less good answers I get, and it's in my presentation. It's okay. Trying again because it will hallucinate something else. Oh, okay, okay. Well, it's good. It says it doesn't exist. But I got some weird answers. So I'm trying again another time, and I'm changing the model just to see. Last access time. I'm just trying. Because I don't remember last access time. I want to get to my point, you know. Okay. Okay. Last access time, it doesn't exist. You know, the query itself is almost perfect. But there is this, it hallucinates this column in the view that doesn't exist because he wants to answer me. Says, yeah. So this is the hallucination we get when we try to do something in SQL Server or the like technical stuff. It wants to answer the question. So what you can do is something like that. You have 2 solutions, by the way. The first one would be something like that. You can allow it to not know. Try to avoid most of the time using negative instructions to a chatbot like ChatGPT. It doesn't understand the negation. But you can say you're allowed not to know the answer. Of course, being ChatGPT, it will apologize. Okay. But most of the time it does the trick, like it says it's not possible. So you can do that. And if you suspect that it hallucinates, just add, you are allowed not to know, or don't answer if you don't know the answer. Yeah, okay. So by prompt engineering, you can give it a role. You can input structured data, for instance. So, and you can use delimiters. So the delimiters would be something like that. I've taken an example here, like that. You could speak geek to LLM. So I could do like that, like instructions here. And then I would add question. And then I would add format to tell him, use this format to answer. Is this the instruction? That would be the role, act as a professional database developer. It would guide it. But most of the time, this role stuff that you might have heard of, like give it a role, say, act as a very expert SQL Server trainer that has 20 years of experience, it doesn't help much to get a correct answer. It could help to get a more targeted answer. If you know nothing about SQL Server, it's better to say act as a trainer that knows how to explain complex stuff in simple terms. That helps. If you know already your stuff, it's not needed. It will answer something precise or correct. write a T-SQL query to list table in a database, and you have the format, and I don't know, I want to have the columns here and the from, and if I'm sending that, it understands the sections, and it answers me with the right format. You can ask it to format the result already. Okay. You can input structured data. So I have an example for that. I was using a query to get information from SQL Server, and the result here is in Markdown table. It means it doesn't look like a table to you, but it's Markdown. It means it's a format known. We have here the first line is the header. You have separation and you have columns, and it will get, it will even, I don't ask any question. You'll see, it will get the context. I'm using GPT-4. Is most of the time knowledgeable in SQL Server. It knows that it comes from SQL Server. Just look at what I'm feeding it. There is no mention of SQL Server. Oh, maybe you can guess because we have MSDB here. Okay, that's TempDB. That's the two signs I would get saying, oh, it's coming from SQL Server. I'm asking no question, right? So it's a table for him. It's Markdown. It understands. This is Paul formatting the stuff. Okay. I'm doing the stuff. Ah, no. Sometimes it understands. So my hope now is it will tell me it's coming from SQL Server and it's doing something. Yeah, okay. So I will ask a follow-up questions because I see that read and write latencies and other pertinent detail for each database and file. It understood it's coming from a database. I don't have, I'm not sure it understood it comes from SQL Server. So I'm asking a follow-up question. It knows the context. Are the metrics good for performances? So I'm starting to feed him information, and I'm starting conversations. He explain me what is wrong or not. Blah, 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 blah. Lot of blah, blah. Low values are generally better. Yes, I can agree with that. Okay, not bad. Latency is less than 10 milliseconds. So what I'm doing here is I'm getting from SQL Server some information about the read and write operation on disk. And I have some latencies here calculated by the storage engine. And I cannot make sense of that because if I don't know SQL Server well. And so it's explaining me average number of read, average number of writes, size. And both read and write latencies are low, 2 milliseconds for data and 2 milliseconds for log, which is excellent, I agree. So it helped me, And I can ask more detailed question if I want a follow-up. So if you know how to ask questions, how to take, anyway, I will show you more information you can get. Okay. So, challenges faced by DBAs. A collection of things 30, Thank you. I just checked. Challenges faced by DBA. What do we have to do? Like a list, maybe not complete list, but auditing. Okay, I'm going to the list. Meaning, I want to know if everything is fine with my infrastructure, my computer for SQL Server, in SQL Server itself. So, for instance, I could take MS Info 32 like that. Does it understand this? It's in French, sorry. I'm taking all the basic information of my system, putting it in my clipboard. I'm going here. I'm trying to open a new chatbot because I don't want it to be, sorry. Yeah, I need to think about that. Thank you. I will show you again. So what I did is I opened this stuff, which is a system information in Windows. I just selected everything, paste a copy, and I will paste it in PO. I try to open a new chatbot because I don't want it to be troubled by the context. I don't want a context before. It will think it has a relationship with the context. It doesn't. And I'm pasting that. It's in French even. That, I don't know, whatever. It will understand. And I'm asking a question first, saying, considering the following, can you identify the following and assess whether this computer is suitable for SQL Server production environment? I'm putting the question, if I want, I can add some kind of separation like that. That could help, and go ahead. And it's saying, yes, the operation system is Windows 11 Professional. It has 4 cores, 8 logical. Yes, it says gigabytes. Okay, okay. To have a capable processor and sufficient amount of memory, blah, blah, blah. It can analyze this. Then I'm asking myself, what about the server? So maybe you know that in SQL Server, we'll show you, we have this error log. I'm going to management here. Yes, you can see. Just tell me immediately if I forget to remove the slides and you don't see it, because. And you have this log saying like, if there is, this is the error log, we call that, right? So whatever, it doesn't open, but I have it in text because it's a text file at the end of the day. And I have it here. Here, it's a big one. So if I want, okay, it's here. I have some login failed, for instance. I could fit in with that, but it's very long. It's big. So my problem now is, can I feed it everything here? I could, in PO, for instance. Okay, I won't show you, but because it will take time to load, I guess. But in PO, I could use some kind of GPT with 128K of context. It will be enough. It's probably maybe 120 pages of text or something like that. So it should be enough. But what I did is I just kept the beginning of the error log. So I'm feeding it the error log like this. I'm using GPT-4, it's best. So kind of a lot of information. What I want to do is this, and I think I have a question. Yeah, with the following SQL Server error log extract, can you find any issue or potential problem? I even don't need to do that, honestly. But I want it to be guided a little bit. Yeah. It's too big. So, okay, I have to use GPT-4. I'm using this one then. Oh. Context was too small. So now I have a model with more context. It can handle a bigger input. So it's saying, okay, you have repeated login failure errors. Sometimes you can ask how many, because it cannot do math, but I don't know why, but it's able to count anyway sometimes. There is an audit file creation failure, login failure. Yes, I know. I'm waiting for some boot sequence comments as well. Yes, for instance, the SPN is not registered, so it's something going with security here. And blah, blah, blah. Instant file initialization is disabled. That's also something that could help, that we know as DBA that it could help. But if you don't know, what you can do is like, oh, what does it mean? And you search more. And it helps you learn how to better manage SQL Server. I like it. You understood that. I like it. Okay. And another demo, and I'm moving on with that, is let's say I want to know if my database, I have a database here. And I'm going to the properties. And the options. Yeah, and I'm doing something wrong. I'm putting auto-close to true, which if you know a little bit of SQL Server will be a real performance problem. It will mean that the database will close and open all the time when people are connecting or disconnecting to the database, and it hinders the performances a lot. I could put the recovery model to simple, and maybe I could make auto shrink to true as well. It's not a good idea. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking a screenshot. Not like this, because yeah, I could do a screenshot like this. No, not like this. I will do a real, oh, sorry. So it forgot everything, but I will just put simple and quick, this one. Okay, okay, well, I'm doing like that anyway. And the window. Okay. It will guess. Okay, and then I'm using GPT-4. It's multimodal. It understands a picture. I'm pasting the picture. And can you assess any database option problems, whatever? Assess. It doesn't care about spelling as well. Yeah, it says auto close. It says auto shrink. And it explains. Causes the database to shut down and free resources when the last disconnect. So even you just feed it with screenshots of your configuration, it understands it and it helps you. It says, yeah, it could be good to go. But the real problem is this one, and this is a problem as well. It put it in first. He understood the stuff. Okay. So, yeah, 20 minutes to go. I'm going fast. Like you could ask stuff, how to back up a database. It will explain you. Let me show you just one simple example here. Let's say you have your backups and you are not exactly sure how you could restore them. And you have, for instance, a directory folder where you have all your backup files. So I'm trying to simulate that, sorry, like this. Okay, I will show you like this, okay. So I'm trying to get a list of backup files. I'm not trying, I will get a list of backup files. Okay, it's not here, it will be here, like that. And I don't know what to do with that. How could I restore that, right? So I'm taking a screenshot again. I could take the list, That would be the best option, but no, I want to do more than that. I want to show you that it should work. I'm not sure, by the way, but I will take this. Okay. And ask, how could I restore that? And I need GPT-4. I don't know. I don't know if it will work. Okay, okay. Okay, using SSMS, using T-SQL. You know he saw the file name of the first sequence. I have a back file, which is a full backup, and then I have transaction log files. And he understood that the first to restore was the back file. And then he understood that the next are the transaction file, and they seem to be in the right order, yes. Not bad, no? So if you're lost one day and you have lost your database, it could help. Okay. Oh, I'm just showing you something else. Sometimes I come across maintenance plan, like showing you one. Sorry, some French again. Yeah. So this one. It's a maintenance plan I took a long time ago at a customer place. And if you know a little bit about maintenance plan, there are some stuff we need to do regularly on database. For instance, check, okay, we check the integrity. We can reorganize the index, but please don't do that. We never shrink the database in a maintenance plan. We don't do that. If you want to argue with that, I'm here till tomorrow evening. So, okay. I'll do basic question. And you see I have this plus here. I'm using ChatGPT. I have this plus. I can feed the maintenance plan. Okay. Is it good? I don't give it any context. I want to see if it can infer that it's coming from SQL Server. Yeah. 3 tasks have failed. No, they are. Bon, it's hallucination. It's just it's not an history of what it did. It's just they have not failed, but there is an arrow going to, if it fails, it goes there. It's generally not recommended. Even ChatGPT says that you shouldn't. Yeah. I know. Thank you. Even ChatGPT tells you don't shrink your database in your maintenance plan. You should not do that. Okay. So I'm going fast, and I will go to the most interesting stuff. Some troubleshooting. I don't know if you know what blocking is, but basically you have a transaction, you're writing something, and while you are updating or inserting in a table, you cannot read sometimes, or because you can do some read uncommitted stuff, but mostly maybe you cannot read, but certainly you cannot write in the same rows on the same resources at the same time. And so we have blocking in SQL Server, meaning like if a transaction is too long, some other transactions or some other sessions are waiting, okay? And we have a way to get this information, which is a blocked process report that we can generate using an event. I'm going quick here. And the event look like this. like this. It's an XML. And so you could spend time go through this and think, what happens? But just take this now and go to whatever, ChatGPT or whatever. I'm using GPT-4. It's good. It's good at that. Yep. And you know what? I don't have time. Too big. Okay. So I probably took, too much. I just want that. It's not too big. Yeah. GPT-4. Okay. It's not too big. Yeah, it's too big because I have all the context inside. Yeah, okay, GPT-4 with this. And I don't need that much, but okay. It's a block process report from SQL Server, yes. And it tells me it was waiting for this amount of time on this key, and you have the query, and it explains what the query did, and you have, okay, all the details. And you can do the same with what we call the deadlock. I don't know if you ever went to a deadlock graph analysis. It's basically something that shows you when there are interblocking, right? Interblocking means 1 block 2 and 2 block 1, and you cannot solve it. So SQL Server choose a victim. It rolls back the transaction. It sends an errorful message in the session saying, you have been chosen as a victim. So people, why? And so now you take the deadlock report and you try to look at it. It can show you a graph, but what you can do is now to take, again, an XML. So you understand it will work because we have seen the block process report. That's the same stuff. So I'm using a big context now. Okay, this one. And of course, again, deadlock scenario, key sections, blah, blah, blah. And ask questions after that. Who blocked who? And the deadlock report is not very complete. You cannot, most of the time it's just, you can guess what happened, but has much information as it can get from this, it will answer you. Okay. So, yeah, 10 minutes to go. So I'm going to the most interesting now, which would be performance tuning. Yeah, okay, and we can finish on this. So, can you be helped? Because what makes a database slow? Basically, someone did a bad job. Someone, not you, of course. Someone did a bad job at designing the tables. Normal forms, things like that. It's not. If it's not good, the performance will suffer. 2, you don't have index at the right place. 3, you're writing a bad query. And if you do everything, you could have the best server in the world, right? Now, if you have a database which is slow, it's not because of your server. I think my phone could handle SQL Server and workload with SQL Server gracefully if it's well done, okay? So, how could we know what to do? So I could ask naively, I won't do it because you can guess it works. I would act the role again, act as a SQL Server trainer with a lot of experience and a knack to explain clearly even the most complicated database concept. And we have slow queries in our database. Can you brainstorm a list of reasons a SQL Server database could act slowly? And it will give you a list of stuff to check. Check this stuff, ask questions again. And database design. Can you assess to the following database model? Okay, and I have extracted like this I don't have time to show you, but I will show you the next one, I guess. You can do like that, and you go to task, and you generate script, and you extract all the model in a SQL file, and you feed it to a large context window model, and it will tell you, this table, maybe you miss some foreign key, things like that. But I have a small table, a very bad small table, which is here. So just to show you this table, it's awful. Can you guess why? Okay, this one first. I don't know if you know the text, but if you don't know it, it's great. You don't need. It was deprecated 24 years ago, but people still using it, and it's bad for performances. I can explain you in afterwards if you need to know why, and if you have a lot of text column. We have a big int as a contact ID. Why? We have contacts. We don't need billions of contacts. We have n varchars. Do we need? Okay. Do we need n varchars? It's Unicode UTF-16. So I could ask a couple of questions about that. I don't want to use compression. Why? It's great. So, okay. Okay, you know already it will give you this information. That, like the demo, it's not needed anymore. But okay. I'm taking this. I'm asking the question. I could even not ask the question, but can you assess the following table design for potential performance issues, something like that? And just, again, spelling is not really important because the tokens in the LLM does understand the context, even if the words, even if there is not a correct spelling, whatever. So several potential performances. Okay, last name is unusually large for last name field. I cannot agree. Since nvarchar uses 2 bytes per character, I agree. Phone and mobile varchar 200 characters. It's inconsistent, yeah, okay, but it doesn't need 200 characters for a phone, but anyway, could have said that. And the text data type is deprecated in favor of varchar max. Yes. It's talking about normalization. I agree, title, gender, I could have made reference tables. Okay. It should have said that the big int is a bit too much, but okay. And compression. My yield performance benefit, no hallucination, because of course there is row or page compression. I recommend you to compress your tables in row. It's great. And I can explain why later if you need in person. Great, no? So another last demo. Yeah, check. Yeah, 5 minutes, great. Just a query. So, yeah. And if I have time, I will show you a query plan. But let's take this query and have a look at it. Yeah. Do you see there are 2 problems? There is one easy, and there is one more, you have to look closer. Can you pinpoint and spot the problems? Sorry? Yes, you're right. Why there is a transaction? It's not one of the problem. It's because I was. Yeah, but it can ask the question anyway. I just put it for that. The join? Yeah, because I made a mistake. I just pasted again, and this query will kill the server because I'm doing basically a cross join, right? But it's a mistake I've made. But the other mistake is, yeah, because if I have an index here, the fact that I change the colon, I'm putting upper, it will not be able to seek the index. The index will be mostly useless. I should not write that. I should, and it's not needed because the comparison is case insensitive anyway by default if I have the right collection, blah, blah, blah. So I don't take the big intron. I want it to tell me that. GPT-4 is the best, I mean, for that. Okay. Are there problems with this server? I want to edit query. I'm not sure it will understand. Yeah, okay, let's go. The join clause. From the context on the condition C, you see. It saved my life, actually. I was about to kill the server with this query. And with the comparison being case insensitive due to the use of the upper function, the correct query join, okay, it corrected that. And I'm not happy with that, but I could ask follow-up question. Do I need to use upper? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Depends on the collation. Yeah, okay. Okay, I could ask a follow-up question saying, and about the performances, and I will get to it. Okay, I'm a bit disappointed anyway. And last thing, 2 minutes. I want to show you something. What I'm gonna do is to use a query plan. I will show you why, and I'm sorry, it's a little bit more advanced, but what I want to do is to make the query plan okay, like this, and I want to see, okay, I'm trying to go fast here. This one, I want to change something. Okay, and I need to change this, of course. And I want to show the actual query, the query plan after execution. And what I see from this query plan is, oh no, no, sorry, I missed my demonstration. I wanted it to see that there is cardinality estimation difference because here it had the right. But what I say, I don't need to do the demo, is what I wanted to have is a query that miscalculate the number of rows here because I added a lot of rows and I wanted it to, this percentage to be high. It's generally a problem. And I would paste the query plan to ChatGPT or to GPT-4 or to whatever, and it would say, oh, there is a cardinality estimation problem. That's so great. So if you want to read query plan, you can just, and I will finish like that, you can just like paste. You just take a screenshot, you paste it and say, give me some information about this plan. And as you see, as a multimodal tool, it can get all the information you need from this show, the query plan. So, incredible. I'm on time. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, you can use ChatGPT to help you. It's not, you're still a DBA, don't worry. It's perfect. You understand what it does. You need to understand. Thank you.